talking about how you deal with it when your favorite celebrity dies.
And how much should we know? Because we've had celebrities where we didn't even know they were sick.
Because you and I are at the age now where a lot of our childhood heroes are just dropping left and right.
Oh, no, it's true, yeah. I mean, Jim's 65, I'm 61,
Right.
and the thing is, even, our friends, our actual friends that we had, they're dying from heart attacks or strokes or... Oh, gosh, what else?
All kinds of things.
Yeah, all kinds of things.
Anything you could die from, they're dying from.
Yep, exactly.
And you don't think a celebrity is going to be that big a deal until it happens, and it's a certain celebrity that you've connected with or they connected with you.
Or you care about them.
And then they're no longer part of you no longer take for granted that they're there.
That they'll always be there.
And it rocks your world.
Yeah, it's true.
It's not a happy thing.
Who was the first celebrity that happened with you, honey?
For me, well, JFK. I was a kid, but I was just young enough to know what was going on.
That was huge.
Just old enough, I should say.
That was huge for Jim. It really was.
I mean, I was 7 years old. Well, plus, I mean, I came from a family of Kennedy lovers. Mm-hmm. My grandmother knew JFK. She was the head of the Democratic Party in my home state, and in that capacity, she knew JFK. She knew Bobby. She knew the whole family.
Well, I didn't know that.
She had personal relations with them. And so when JFK died, it was like losing a distant relative to us. And it just kind of shakes up your world, the guy who was symbolic of your whole life suddenly gone like that. And JFK in particular, because he was such a different thing from the previous grandfatherly presidential types.
Right, yeah.
I mean, he was certainly... I mean, he was everything Eisenhower was. Eisenhower was in his own way. Of course, he was a great man.
Yeah.
But, I mean, JFK, here comes this young guy with a full head of hair.
Right,
and he's viral and
young
this and
wife
handsome
and little kids.
Young wife and a young family and youth. And then all of a sudden, boom, it's gone.
Yeah.
And we're back to the old geezers again.
Yeah.
Johnson, who, looked 1,000 years old to me at the time. And that was probably the first one I remember. Mm-hmm. I mean, I knew about people dying, but that's the first one I remember vividly. And it affects you.
It does.
My parents, I can't really say how it affected them, although it did affect them. Mm-hmm. I remember watching, I don't want to get into a long thing about Kennedy, but I remember watching, what's his name, shoot Oswald. Ruby, yeah. Live on TV.
Right, yeah.
We're sitting there Sunday morning, and the prison transfer. What are they doing? Well, they're taking him to the prison, and they're going to have a trial later. Mm-hmm. And they bring him out, and boom, he was shot down.
Yeah.
And I was just old enough to go, wow, that wasn't supposed to happen, was it?
Exactly, yeah. And live on national television, yeah.
I remember later that day after he died, and my mother saying, well, if there's such a place as hell, I suppose he's there now.
Wow.
And my father had to explain to me why it was not a good thing, why you don't take the law into your own hands.
Uh-huh.
And that was an educational moment.
I bet that was, yeah.
And then later, but even then, we got over it. The following Monday, it happened on a Friday, and then the other shooting was a Sunday. Mm-hmm. Monday, I went back to school, and things were pretty much normal. I don't recall them making a big deal out of it in school. Maybe that is the right way to do it. Mm-hmm. Maybe a lot nowadays in schools, if something tragic happens, they bring out the psychologist for the school district, and they take a day off and this, that, and the other. Maybe the better way to do it is just move on with it and deal with it in your own time.
Well, I don't know. This is kind of a different subject, but
right.
There are actually times when you need the counselors. Like if you just saw your best friend get gunned down.
Yeah.
By a school shooter.
Oh, yeah.
That would be a good time to see the counselors.
Yeah, like the Columbine and the more recent ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the ones from Florida.
Well, to be completely honest, I was 10, mm-hmm. and my mother and I were playing cards. We often played cards. We played gin rummy.
Right.
And we were playing gin rummy at the table. We were listening to the radio, and that's when I heard that Freddie Prinze had been found dead.
I remember that.
And I was a real fan of Chico and the Man.
He shot himself.
Well, we didn't know that right away.
Right, okay.
But I was just shocked by the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because I liked Chico and the Man. I liked Freddie Prinze. I was a young girl. I thought he was cute.
Uh-huh.
And then when we found out that he killed himself.
Yeah.
I come from a family of depression. It's from my mother's side of the family.
Mine too.
My mother, we call it the family curse. I have depression.
Mm-hmm.
My half-sister has depression. My half-brother was schizophrenic.
Oh, boy.
My son has depression. My nieces have depression.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I say, it's the family curse. And so we've all had to deal with it, and some of us have gotten anxiety and PTSD as time went on. But yeah, that he became depressed and was under the influence of alcohol and drugs and took his own life. And yeah, it blew my little 10-year-old mind.
Yeah.
It really, really did.
I can understand that. Again, you were right at that age where you're starting to be aware of things like that in the world.
Exactly. And
But I think kids, in some ways, kids handle it better than adults.
Yeah, we do, yeah.
I mean, like I say, when I was a kid, there were several celebrity, if you want to call them, celebrity passings. Robert Kennedy when I was 12.
Right.
And I was kind of more upset about that, maybe because I was a little older and more aware of the world at large. Maybe that was the reason.
Could be, yeah.
But nothing really traumatized me like that until I became an adult. And then you had Elvis and John Lennon and so on and so on.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And those, I know that Elvis and John Lennon were very important to you. The Beatles were very important
yes,
to
they
you
were.
as you grew up.
Yeah. Well, the Elvis thing, there's a line from a song. When Elvis died, we knew we would too. I think to a lot of people of that generation, you look at Elvis, you figure he's going to be around forever.
Yeah.
And John Lennon be around forever.
And he died young. I mean, they both died young.
They both did.
That's the thing. I mean, it's one thing to be in your 80s and 90s.
Yes.
And, especially if you're in pain, if you're ill and in pain, and you're miserable, then people say, oh, thank goodness he or she is out of pain. They're out of misery. Whatever your belief of the afterlife is.
I mean, when Chuck Berry died, he was 90 years old.
Yeah.
You go, well, okay.
He's at peace.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's at peace.
It was his time.
With his maker or with his, girlfriends or whatever makes him happy. That's where he is.
That's a good question. I mean, asking folks who was the one or two celebrities who really rocked their world when they died.
When they died, yeah. And especially dying at a younger age, not living out a full lifespan.
Yeah, if somebody dies, they're 30 or 40 or 50.
Yeah, or even in their 20s.
Yeah.
And you're going, whoa, they had so much more stuff to do with their lives, and now they're not here anymore, and it's tragic.
So how much would you want to know beforehand? Would you want to know they were going to die? I mean, that was kind of the thing with Freddie Mercury when we saw the movie.
Oh, yeah.
He did that one press conference next day.
Yeah.
Next day, that quickly happened.
Well, yeah, and he'd been sick for a while.
Yes.
And he'd, the whole homophobic thing had a lot to do with why he didn't want to come out as he had AIDS.
Yeah.
Because it was all about, only people who do that, only people who are homos, get AIDS, and that's not the
ridiculous.
case, and it was awful. Bottom line, it's not my business to know what other people are dealing with in their lives, celebrities. I mean, I appreciate them for their entertainment, but they're not my personal friends. But I am going to grieve them when they die.
If they want us to know, that's up to them, but I'm not going to hold it against them if they don't.
Right.
Because they're people